Psychologists generally agree that there are these four main elements of motivation, which are personal drive, optimism, commitment, and initiative. When you examine a person who is highly motivated, you see these four qualities. When a person cultivates these four qualities, they become more motivated. So each of these four things are straightforward. I'm sure you understand exactly what they mean just by hearing the word, but I also think it could be helpful to elaborate. Personal drive. A highly motivated person does not need to be motivated by anything external, by another person, by money, by anything external. Somebody who has personal drive is unstoppable because the sources of motivation are internal. Optimism. A person's ability to persist despite setbacks. The ability to stay positive despite setbacks. The ability to continue believing in the potential one is pursuing despite any kind of obstacles that have gotten in the way. Another way to think of it is the ability to perceive everything as being a contributor to your growth and to your success in this endeavor. Even if it's something as blatantly opposite of your success as not getting the job that you were motivated to get. Motivation can be applied to many things. And I think it's all about becoming a motivated person so that whatever a person sets his or her sights on, they have all the resources available to achieve that. And then if it doesn't manifest in the way that the person predicted or hoped for, there's a way to interpret that as being just fine, perfect, a simple stimulus to redirect. Commitment. Perhaps this is the true test of motivation, whether it actually lasts. Commitment is the ability to stay focused and continue to invest energy into some pursuit. And then initiative is the one that I really wanted to highlight here. I love this quality. I attempt to cultivate it within myself. I respect it in other people. Initiative, the ability to act immediately. The ability to act on an opportunity the moment it arises. Will Smith says, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. It's kind of like that. It's staying ready. It's constantly being ready to pounce on every opportunity that arises as it arises without any hesitation. It also has to do with the ability to just start something, or to just stop something, to make a change. We all know on a personal level as well as on a social level that certain forces can get stuck in place. That the power of inertia can be debilitating, right? The inertia is typically defined as the property of matter to continue existing in its current state of rest or uniform motion unless acted upon by some external force. Now, I think the way that this definition applies to us in psychological terms, that we can continue to exist in the same old mode until something interferes with that. And now the difference between our mind and matter is that we can change on a mental level with just internal forces. We can exercise our will to and just decide to pursue something, to create a new habit, to have a difficult conversation, to do something that contributes to our overall well-being and to the depth of meaning in our lives and to the satisfaction of fully blossoming into the world. One way that this has manifested in my life is I told myself for a long time, I want to write a book. I feel like I have ideas and it would be a good process for me to write them, and then maybe even the world would receive them. And yet I told myself this for literally years, for at least like 3 years. I had this idea and I would revisit it often, and yet it never actually translated to action. I have begun this book, which feels bold to say, and I better follow through, otherwise that statement is meaningless. But I am now in process. I have taken the initiative. I started. And really, like, the opposite of initiative is procrastination. And at the heart of procrastination is an absence of urgency. At the heart of initiative is the presence of urgency. It is the perspective that we don't have forever. But many people have died with aspirations that they could have achieved long before their death. I don't want to be that person. I do not want that to happen to me. I don't know when my death day is, but I know that it's coming. And that instills in me, sure, a sense of fear, but also this profound sense of urgency, which ultimately translates into my capacity to initiate, to take initiative. There's a quote that I'm inspired by. I'll share it. The philosopher Alan Watts was once asked the question. He was asked, "Do you have any advice for aspiring writers?" And his response was, "Advice? I don't have any advice. Stop aspiring. Start writing. If you're writing, you're a writer. Write like you're a goddamn death row inmate," he said, "and the governor is out of the country and there's no chance for a pardon. Write like you're clinging to the edge of a cliff, white knuckles on your last breath, and you've got just one last thing to say. Like you're a bird flying over us and you can see everything, and for God's sake, tell us something that will save us from ourselves. Take a deep breath, tell us your deepest, darkest secret, so that we can wipe our brow and know we're not alone. Write like you have a message from the king." And then he added, "Or don't. Maybe you're one of the lucky ones who doesn't have to." Stop aspiring, start writing. This is potent advice. Too many of our aspirations can already be actions, or too many of our aspirations just continue to exist in the realm of abstract goals. And the moment that a person begins to overcome the inertia of what already is, the moment a person initiates a process that is leading them to the full fruition of an aspiration, the motivation starts to build and build and build and build and build. And a momentum builds up. But so many people, I think I included, sometimes miss out on that opportunity to build up momentum toward manifesting our goals because we lack the initiative. And I think we lack the initiative sometimes because we don't sense urgency. And we don't sense urgency because our perspective is not considering all of the facts about our existence, namely its finite nature. So perhaps there's something that you've been thinking about doing. There's a trap in thinking about doing stuff, in thinking about doing something productive, in thinking about pursuing a goal. The trap is that when we think about it, it almost feels like we did something toward accomplishing it. A person may think, I really need to start exercising. And in that moment, that kind of feels like a productive thought. It almost feels like I actually exercised. But the trap is that no action was taken, and therefore the person did not get closer. There's a trap in thinking about goals. I think sometimes we can start to enjoy goal setting more than we actually enjoy the process of accomplishing goals. The thousands of tasks and the steady focus required to actually meet a goal, to actually become who we wish to become, to actualize our potential. And when we just think about it, right? When a person has the thought, for example, I really need to start exercising. I think I'm going to start exercising. Yeah, like tomorrow I'm going to get it. I'm going to exercise hard. That thought feels kind of productive. It kind of gets a person like there's a rewarding quality to it, almost as if I actually did some reps, like I actually did exercise a little bit, when of course the trap there is that no action was actually taken, and yet the person felt as though they did, and they're rewarded for it a little bit. And this is how we procrastinate. We just think about doing it without doing it. And the thinking about doing it actually brings about a sense of having done something toward it. But that's an illusion. I can think about exercise all day and it doesn't burn 1 calorie. I can think about writing all day and it does not put 1 word on paper. I can think about having a difficult conversation and run it through my mind in hypothetical scenarios all day and not 1 word is spoken. When we consciously cultivate these 4 qualities, we gain greater access to the sources of motivation. We gain energy. We become motivated. Personal drive, optimism, commitment, and initiative. Taking this moment as an opportunity to do what you want to do. Thank you for listening. I appreciate that. I'd love to know your thoughts.